Well, hello, everybody. It's good to see some familiar faces. My name is Madison Zulowitz, for those of you that don't know me, and I am the event coordinator here at Doug. So I help plan our local and regional meetups and kind of all things dynamics. So here to tell you a little bit about Doug, who we are, and what we offer. If I can get my screen to work. There we go. Doug is a free community for users, implementers, and resellers of Microsoft business applications. Our mission is to support Microsoft Dynamics 365, GP, and Power Platform community. My gosh, I can't talk today. um, our main goal is to help empower people and give them the tools to help them excel and grow in their personal and professional careers. Our rules of engagement, we essentially ask that these meetups are held to be solely educational, so please no sales pitches. People come here to gain some educational content, and we would like to keep it that way. And please, please, please engage with your speaker. All of our speakers love it when you ask questions and stay engaged. So please try and ask as many questions as you possibly can, and that's really how you're going to get the most out of these meetups anyway. Dynamics User Group, or DUG, we offer multiple different programs. So we have free online open forum discussions, we have webinars, conferences, local meetups like this one, as well as our DynamicsCon regionals that are a little bit larger in scope. So the regionals are typically 1 to 2 day events, and we have multiple different education sessions with different breakout rooms focusing on different products. We also have a YouTube channel where you can access all of our recordings for our virtual meetups like this one. So it's a great way to see what the rest of the world is talking about. And if you have any specific topics that you want to learn more about, I'm sure that one of our meetups around the world has probably presented on it. So great way to gain some free educational content. Our 2025 DynamicsCon regionals, we have a ton of them coming up. So those in North America are Canada. We're going to be there June 16th and 17th. Our Rocky Mountain in Denver, Colorado, August 21st. Ohio Valley in August. Texas in September, and back to Tampa in January of 2026. And we are also going international, which is very exciting. This is our first year doing this. We will be going to Africa, so long ways away. We will be going to Ghana July 19th and Kenya July 24th and 25th. And we're going to Copenhagen September 4th. So super excited to be expanding. We also have our 2026 DynamicsCon from May 13th to the 16th. So coming up very soon, this is our largest conference of the year. It is going to be a multi-day event with, if I can get back to my slide here, there we go. A multi-day event with tons of educational sessions, tons of networking opportunities. I think most of you on this call have probably gone in the past and can share a bit more about it as well, but it is really, really, really a great opportunity to get involved in the community. And we currently have a 15% off code for all of our Meetup members. That Meetup 15 code right there, I'll send it in the chat as well. But if you're interested in coming, we highly suggest that you do. And I'll go ahead and pass it back over to Savannah to introduce our speaker. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Madison. So welcome, everyone. It's good to see a lot of you here, a lot of familiar faces. So today we are here to talk about personal branding. This is a meetup that is hosted by the Doug Mentorship program. So if that is something you're interested in, feel free to contact myself, or I see Lokesh on this call, or just simply go to Meetup, meetup.com/mentorship program, and you can learn more there. It's all about professional development and developing those more like soft skills versus your technical skills. So today with me, there's no slides to present. It's going to be a very free-flowing conversation with myself and Mary and Candace. And we're going to talk a little bit about the evolution of our personal brands, how that has evolved over time, and also different things we've done to help us grow. So that being said, I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Savannah Dill. I am a BI analyst at TM Group. We are a partner who implements Business Central. However, Power BI is kind of like my bread and butter. So love that. And yeah, I just love speaking to others and talking about my journey. So I'll pass it on to Mary.
Hi, thanks so much, Savannah. I'm so thankful to be here. So thanks for inviting me. Mary Myers, I am Chief Maximizer at World Max, where we work on creating power platform solutions for small businesses, just kind of help transform the way that they work and basically so they can, I guess, work less, golf more. But I've been in the community since 2018, and I like to say I'm like by the people for the people type of component. I am so thankful to be in the community, and it has been such a blessing in my career and in my mentorship. So I always love to kind of share with others some of those tips and tricks. So thanks for having me, Savannah.
Candace?
Hi, I think I know most of you on the call, but for those I haven't met, I'd love to get acquainted with you. I'm Candace Edelin, and I am the founder of Propel Growth, which is we're like 18 years old or something like that now. I can't do the math. Started in 2007. And we originally were really focused on marketing consulting in the financial space. And then we made a shift over to commercial real estate that then caught us into the Acumatica channel, which brought us to the Microsoft channel. And now we do a lot of work with the Microsoft channel. And in 2020, we launched a LinkedIn training course for helping you to build your personal brand and attract whatever audience you're looking to attract, whether that's your customers, whether it's a new job, whether it's employees, or opportunities to network and learn, we really focus on helping people accomplish those professional goals on LinkedIn. And so that's kind of how I've gotten acquainted with most of you is through LinkedIn.
Yeah. That's definitely how, I've gotten acquainted. And I think now that we're on the topic, I think LinkedIn is a really great place to start. Let's just roll right in. Also, if anyone has any questions or you'd like to participate in the conversation during this call at all, please feel free to do so. All right, so where shall we begin?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from both you and Mary on if there's like an organizing theme or theory behind what you're doing on LinkedIn to help build your presence.
Do you want to start, Mary?
I'll go ahead.
This was totally unplanned, you guys, so they did not expect me to ask that question.
Yeah, so kind of what my strategy is around my goals, right? Yeah, so I guess first, my goals on LinkedIn would be to grow brand awareness, right? As a small business owner and a mighty team of one plus Copilot plus ChatGPT, and some amazing subcontractors along the way. It's definitely a challenge for me to be able to do everything from reaching, right, from a reach perspective. However, LinkedIn has been astronomical, to me in being able to get that reach out there. So with that being said, I think I couldn't find words today. Sorry. So for my LinkedIn strategy, really what I'm doing is I'll build like content pillars, right? So I focus on education. And then I also focus on just kind of showing some value in customer success stories. And then also just kind of some personal day-to-day stuff, just being kind of authentic to whoever or whatever craziness up that day. So that's kind of those three content pillars that I, put out and or kind of focus on. And then I will do like somewhat pre-planning. There are periods in seasons where I'm a lot better at pre-planning than other times. But yeah, I think, does that answer your question, Candace, or am I just totally off left field?
I think it was great. And you've got some the content pillars that you go after are.
oh, sorry, the content pillars that I go after are going to be like educational, customer success stories, and then just authentic, like normal who I am type of stuff, you know, like mom of the year or travel, that type of stuff, right? Like what I'm doing and who I am a little bit outside of that day-to-day work type of thing, right? Like who I am as a business owner, right? Kind of relatable content that way.
Yeah, I think that definitely gives a personal touch to an online presence. My story is very similar. So when it comes to my personal brand, I've been in the community now since about 2020. And starting off, I didn't really know what was going to become of myself and my content until I started going to conferences and, seeing people like you, Mary, speaking. And I'm like, wow, I really want to do that. And that's so cool. And so, I started networking and talking to, other individuals about how, like how to go about it. And I'm someone that has a lot of ideas, and sometimes I end up biting off more than I can chew when it comes to content. But ultimately, I started off by talking to another MVP, Belinda Allen, and she told me that I should start branding myself and try to do it in a unique way that people will remember. So my last name is Dill. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a play on the pickle because dill pickle. So one phrase, at least in the Midwest, I've heard is, I'm in a pickle, I'm stuck. And so my brand is called Not a Pickle because I want to get people out of the pickles they're in. So yeah, I then started creating content on LinkedIn. And, like Mary, I focus a lot on educational content. Sometimes I post very like real and authentic things. And it's very surprising to me because those like real posts they get a lot of engagement. Last year I lost a watch at DynamicsCon. I was doing a costume change with another speaker and I left it in the bathroom. And someone turned it into security, and I posted this long thing about someone turning my watch, and it was just like very sentimental, and just things like that. They're still related to my professional life, but sprinkle in a little this and a little that. But yeah, like Mary, educational content, and then just trying new things. I've done a blog. I've done social media posts with like carousels. I've done a newsletter. Just like finding what works for you, I think is really important. Yeah, that's my rant.
That's cool. Thank you.
Great question.
What about you, Candace? Like, how has LinkedIn evolved over time? I mean, you've been doing this for a very long time. How has it changed over time from, what it was and what it is now to you?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. So it started out as a resume repository. I think I've been on LinkedIn since 2007. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but one of the early adopters. There were fewer than a million. Actually, I think it was like maybe 500,000 when I joined, which seemed massive at the time. Who knew, right? But it was really a place for you to put up your resume, and we didn't really have a lot of use for it because there wasn't like the posting and stuff like that. Then they bought Pulse, and you could start putting up articles. And one of the things that I learned, because I'm a serial entrepreneur, Propel Growth is my fifth business. And one of the things that I've learned in the two businesses prior to Propel Growth and then Propel Growth also is that getting content out there really made a difference in terms of attracting an audience and attracting customers where they would come to us getting what we do and what we're about. And I was selling really, really esoteric software before Propel Growth. And then when I started Propel Growth, we were again selling really esoteric software for multiple companies. And we needed to figure out how to get our brand out as Propel Growth. I say ours, it's not a big company. We've never had more than 4 people at a time. Right now, it's just 2 of us, my husband and me. And so I started using it early on as a place to promote content. And that's what, I mean, if you remember back in the day, and still people are treating LinkedIn like this today, you wrote a blog post and then you wrote a little promo for your blog post and you put it up on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook, trying to drive traffic to your post. And that used to work. It does not work anymore for LinkedIn. For the record, please don't do that. It just muddies the feed. Now, LinkedIn has become very social. So you want to do things that start conversations and get dialogue going. And that's when the whole world changed for me, was when I could start getting people to engage with my posts and start having conversations, and I could go have conversations with other people. I'm realizing that my commenting strategy is as important as my posting strategy in how I engage with people on LinkedIn, because more people come to me saying, hey, I saw your comment on Savannah's post, or I saw your comment on Mary's post, than come to me because they see my posts. And they'll see my comments and then they'll go follow me. So then they start seeing my posts. And so that really helps. I think also understanding the concept of LinkedIn lurkers has been a really, really important factor for me in thinking through my brand, because almost all of our clients, and here I am teaching LinkedIn skills, you would think that the people that buy my services are the people that are most engaged on LinkedIn. But no, almost all my customers are LinkedIn lurkers. So the people who are commenting and engaging on your posts are really, really important, because they draw visibility to you from the LinkedIn lurkers, the people who are just out there just scrolling and reading, but they're not necessarily liking or commenting. So I've learned that I want to nurture my lurkers. And so that drives some of my philosophy. And then one other thing that has been a big thing for us, in addition to what Mary talked about content pillars, is to have a brand personality and a brand villain. So I think most people know we're all about human to human, but you also probably know a bit about our brand villains. We have like #NoBots. I'm really against automation. I don't think that you can automate a relationship with another human being. And we're against what we lovingly call #annoyance at scale, which is all the spam that's going out. And so by having a brand villain, and it's not a person in our case, it's a methodology, it's a thought process. It allows us to educate about why that thought process is flawed. And that has really helped us, because people will reach out to me saying, I love your philosophy on human to human, and it's why they're reaching out. So like you said, Savannah, getting out of the pickles and things like that, that not a pickle that's a brilliant idea, because then you can make being in a pickle your brand villain.
Right. I think
And
another thing too, and maybe, I know Sam, you're on this call if you want to touch on this, and I'm sure Mary and Candace, you have a thought on this, about like ethical AI and how that can be a part of your brand villain in a way, and how AI is so widely becoming used in content. Yeah, what are the thoughts on that? Sam, you're making a face. Yeah.
I am. I'm having a lot of internal struggles with it actually right now. So my sister is a nail tech, never worked on a computer ever, and she has this big issue with me being so into AI for my job constantly, because of all of the resources that it actually takes up environmentally, right? And I'm like, we don't ever talk about that in like the AI co-pilot summits and what have you. We don't think about the environmental impact of, just because it's cloud information doesn't mean it isn't stored or built or used somewhere in a warehouse, and all of that is still taking up natural resources for the storage of that conversation. So what I've been really talking about in a lot of my trainings or teachings, or when I'm talking with people on my team, I'm like, you got to get really good at prompting, because you don't need to be prompting 10 times to get an answer, because of all of the ways that that impacts the environment is what I really think a lot about. I'm like, if you learn how to prompt really well and you prompt one time and you get a nice response, maybe you prompt a couple times back, but you're cutting out some of that, like, hey, write me a blog article based on this topic. Like, that's a terrible prompt for AI. But a better one is like, hey, here's a blog we really like. Here's a couple point of views on voice and tone. Here's a few bullet points. Now go write it for me. It cuts some of that back and forth time. So that's one point of view on ethical AI that I'm really into right now. I'll be sharing some fun sets at DynamicsCon about it as well. So
Thanks.
yeah.
I don't think that AI necessarily has to be a villain in the content generation. Should AI be generating your content? No, absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. Does that mean that you can't use, to Sam's point, right? I mean, how many times, I think we all have, right? That we'll go ahead and like I'll write something, right? And I have to very consciously, like, I have too many words, right? I talk too much. I definitely write too much, which is why I tend to do video more than content and blogs, because I can't do it, right? Or it just takes so much longer for me to just churn through and concise and get that really, really fine tuned, right? But I can take exactly every single solitary piece that I feel, right? Like my word vomit of everything that I want to get across, right? And I can put that in there and I can get a draft, right? Now, do I like that draft? No, but it gives me enough, right? Like that mental capacity time to say, what do I want to do? How can I consolidate my ideas and put out something that's like what I feel, what I like, what is genuine to my voice, right? And just kind of helping me organize those contents. That's brilliant. That's great. When I'm having a writer's block, I'll do things like, what would be really valuable content ideas or content series on XYZ, right? Like, what are some things like that, right? Now, that's not writing the content for you, but that's thought generation, like, right? How can I get around that? And a lot of times I may not like that first round, but it's like, back in my day, we would do brainstorm bubbles, right? And so we would do our little thing in the middle, and we'd go like here. And to me, that's kind of what that process is, right? And then you'd have like peer review, right? And you'd hand your little piece of paper over and they put like their little circles on. Like that's kind of what I feel like we can do from like the content generation standpoint. And so I don't know, that's my personal belief. I think it can be really helpful. You know what I mean? In that content. Yeah, flat villain is a flat content. Yeah. So just that rinse and repeat and being like, oops, spit it out, right? Like we're too far past it in this day and age, right? Like that was fine 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you could probably pass in that just to kind of like get things started. But we're way past that point, and that's not what it's for, right? Or that's not how you're going to get ahead, in my opinion. That's how you're going to get called out. Like we all know, you know what I mean, and can very easily spot a fully AI generated, you know what I mean, rinse and repeat type of content. So you're not doing yourself any favor by that, but I think it definitely can be beneficial. And so I think I don't know, that's my opinion. I think it's important to call out, but I'd be curious what y'all's thoughts are on that as well.
I definitely agree with that. Using AI is more so of a resource versus or like we have like co-pilot agents now, being a resource or a assistant. So I don't think AI is ever meant to replace that human aspect. Like Candace, you said, it's never going to replicate the human to human interaction. But it can definitely jumpstart or be an asset to content creation.
Yeah, I think that AI is a great tool. I find it a collaboration partner. And
Yes.
definitely not living up to Sam's ethical AI, because I'm like engaging in a conversation with it. Just recently, we were trying to figure out a brand strategy for a new offering where we're doing more private one-to-one consulting with companies to help with their thought leadership strategy. And we're trying to figure out like, how do we want to frame this? And I found it really helpful to go back and forth. What I hate it for is these freaking AI comments on LinkedIn. Please don't do that. That just makes you look like a complete moron, and people are going to start with a backlash about that. I saw a really funny one. Somebody was talking, a LinkedIn expert was talking about the value of commenting on LinkedIn, and she showed a post where an AI had dropped a comment on her post, and her response was, your opinion is not welcome here, or something like that. It was pretty funny because it was obviously an AI post, and I want to be snarky with AI comments, but sometimes I'm not sure if it was AI that put it out there. And usually, ironically, the people that are using AI to drop comments aren't monitoring their notifications, so they don't even know if you replied. Drives me crazy. That's my new villain, AI comments.
So, Dr. Ashley, she had an interesting question in the chat. How many social media sites should you be on to build your brand? And also, to add to that, I would like to ask you ladies about influence versus being an influencer. What is the difference there, and how can you inject that into these other sites? Mary, I know you do a few different platforms, and I think, that would be a great place to start.
Yeah, so great question. I think first and foremost, some things go back to what are our goals, right? Because what your goal is around content or social media is going to also identify your audience. And each social media platform has a little bit different audience or kind of blend. And especially the way that our audience is going to want to receive that content and material, right? So, you know, obviously, so I have a TikTok channel. I have a TikTok channel. I have TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, right? Which is a ton. Let me tell you, I don't ever get to post it on my Facebook. Like, I don't personally see a lot of value in that. I've never also put in a lot of time to it. I don't feel that my ideal client market is there. I feel like my personal Facebook feed is more of my local group. And I used to live in a really small town. And so I think from a mental standpoint, like they were never going to be my target audience anyways, right? So like whether it's right or wrong, like that's just my mentality, kind of around that. Now where TikTok, right? It's I am TikTok is a great medium for me now. Do a lot of people laugh? So I get a lot of slack from it. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of fun about it. But it's video content. It's allowed to be messier. In fact, it is better for it to be messy and authentic and real. Like sometimes I'll just take my phone, right? Like some of the filming that I'll do, you'll see me. I'm literally just taking my phone and doing it on the computer and then editing it from there, right? Like that's how raw and basic it is. And those do better than when I go into, let's say some of my more curated app tools, like I can't even think of the purple one, Loom, for example, right? Or like fully edit something in there and put it in there. It doesn't do as well, right? Because that's the audience style. Now, like sometimes I'll have like work with different marketing teams of like, why don't we repurpose your TikTok content to LinkedIn? I'm like, it's too messy. A lot of it's way too messy for LinkedIn, right? Like you can have videos on LinkedIn, but I need to take a little bit higher quality videos and have them be a little bit brighter. TikTok, it's funny. So, on that purpose. And then Instagram, again, is a little bit cleaner. And so you can repurpose your content across the different mediums, but I think it's important to know that there's a little bit different audience. So how many, that's very, very long blah, but the total answer is how many platforms should you be on? I think that's what I'm saying. I think you're really just targets on where is your ideal audience. And they're probably, again, across all of them. I really do get a lot of leads from TikTok from people that you would not like expect. And the first time, so when I first started my business in March of 2021, somewhere in there, I think it was 22. Anyways, not important. I had a college intern help me in my first 30 days trying to get everything like up and going and kind of some ideas. And she's like, I think you should do TikTok. I was like, absolutely not. I am not getting out there. I am not doing dances. She was like, we don't have to do dances. She was like, I think that you're really missing out. She was like, do you know how many people are lurkers on TikTok? There's LinkedIn lurkers. Guess what? There's probably even more TikTok lurkers because there's a ton of people that will never admit that they're on there because it doesn't seem professional, because people give it a lot of crap, right? I don't know if we can say that here, but we did. So oops. But so anyway, so all I'm trying to get at is that your audience will be across all of those platforms. So, kind of be aware that, try more than one, right? And Sam Bush always points out some really valid content, and it's actually a shift that I'm trying to get to this year, is that video content holds a life so much more gold. That YouTube shorts and YouTube content is gold. So I would say, if you were trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I can't handle 5 social media platforms. One, there's scheduling apps out there. Schedule your content. If you're trying to go across a bunch of different apps, schedule your content out there. Know that there's those applications, but also, there's platforms that will allow you to push your content out to all of your different social channels at once. So there's tools like that. Also, in app, you can schedule out your contents as well, which is usually a little bit better than a scheduling app that does it across all the platforms for you, because you're going to lose engagement, right? So there's different things to know across those different platforms. But yeah, I think I lost my last thought on that. I get really excited. Oh, no, now I know what I was going to say. So if you're going to consolidate to just like maybe 2, and you're already on LinkedIn, right? I'd go to YouTube. Super easy. It's free to get started. It takes seconds. Like, you're just go for it. And Canva will help you make it look pretty. Okay. Candace, what you got?
I mirror everything you said. I would really discourage anybody from trying to do too much, because we all have full-time jobs, and so unless your goal is to be a creator and that's going to be your life plan, then you may need more than one channel. But even then, the professional creators tend to focus on one primary and maybe 1 or 2 alternate channels. But every channel's algorithm works differently. So I spend a lot of time studying how the LinkedIn algorithm works so that we can make recommendations to our clients on how to get the maximum reach on LinkedIn. But what I'm learning about LinkedIn does not apply to TikTok, does not apply to YouTube, does not apply to Instagram. It's like every one of them is a different algorithm, but also a different culture. And the culture of that social platform is a lot of what's driving the algorithm. And if you don't, just like if you go to a country or a different cultural area and you try to sell your services without having an understanding of the culture, you're probably not going to be very successful. The same is true when you're trying to engage with these social sites. So yes, you can publish content to a lot of them, but I wouldn't necessarily expect that to get a lot of engagement, as much as if you focus on 1 or 2. And I totally agree with Mary that TikTok is a pretty solid channel for millennials and Gen Zs. I'm not on it, but I'm not on it for some very specific reasons. I'd like to be on it, but I feel like I shouldn't at this point. And if anybody wants to know why, just reach out to me privately and I'll tell you. It's not a big secret. But I think your point, Mary, about YouTube as the secondary channel is so important. LinkedIn for business is the #1 channel out there. It's the one that, if you're going to focus on a channel, focus on LinkedIn. If you're trying to build a professional career in the Microsoft community, that's the one to be on. YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world. And so being on YouTube helps to be discoverable. But like LinkedIn, that algorithm is its own beast. I put videos up on YouTube, but we're not really intentional yet about figuring out how to optimize that. And it's something that is on the plans for our team to get better at that, because you're not going to get the views if you don't do it the way that works for YouTube.
Right.
Yeah, I wanted to add. Go ahead, Savannah.
No, I'm good. You can go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
My train of thought just went off the rails.
I keep doing it too, you know. But one thing that I wanted to share about LinkedIn, right? So to your point, Candace, I've been on LinkedIn for a long time too. I don't remember how long. I want to say maybe like 2009. I didn't start posting though, right? Till maybe 5 or 6 years after that. I was a lurker in those early days, learning a lot in a different industry. And then I just started posting on LinkedIn, and then consistency, right? And I think that that's what we're talking about with some of the, things. Consistency is more important than number of apps as well, because you want to build trust with your audience, right? You don't want to be a fly by the night type of thing. So yeah, it's really great to point out that. And then also what I would say with LinkedIn, one of my favorite statements to say, I don't even remember where I heard it. I didn't make it up. But it's, you're only 100 LinkedIn posts from being a subject matter expert in your industry, right? And I just think that it's so true. And so, Candace was talking about how they use LinkedIn to help people, whether it's growing their business or growing a brand or trying to go get a new job. I love working with TechFluent and other, people and organizations and just people trying to get new jobs, right? Like I spent some time unemployed. I am so thankful to be in the tech industry. So that's something that's really passionate to me, or to myself here. But what I tell people, right, is if you're looking for a job, or if you want to break into Power Platform Consulting, or if you want to do this, start posting about it, right? Like, let people know about you. You are your branding team, right? You are your social, or what is it, your PR team, right? Really,
Yes.
to go and brand yourself out and be like, she's doing so great. Does it feel cringy? It sure does, right? As somebody that's constantly posting about myself and the things that I'm doing, like I think it's cringy, like, or it makes me feel awkward. Candace and Savannah assured me last time that they didn't think that, right? We were had this conversation, and I share this to say, like, if you feel that way, you're not alone. Like, and so I feel that way. But again, Savannah and Candace say that I'm not. So I would imagine that other people probably feel the same way. And you're not either, right? It's just these things that we tell ourselves, because it's a little bit weird to put ourselves out there in front of an entire group of people to be subjected of, do they think I'm right? Do they think this is good? Right? And it's all subjective. And if you have the courage to put it out there, it's great. Right. So so I just want to say, don't be afraid to post content, and two, put the content out there. If you want people to know what it is that you're about, if you want to get into a certain thing, you are 100 posts away from being an expert in that area. And LinkedIn is a great way to do that. And I don't think I would be where I'm at if I did not post religiously on LinkedIn about exactly what it is that I do and want to do.
Can I lean into that a little bit? We talk about this idea of a personal brand, and that seems like this big word, kind of like the word thought leadership. It feels big, it feels hard, it feels like there's some level of expertise behind it. What we're really talking about is for people to feel like they know you. And that's the point around what you're doing, Mary, is you're letting people feel like they know you. So the first time they get on a call with you or see you at a conference, they already feel like they know you. And that should be your goal. And especially, Bobby asked about the personal content. Bobby, one of the things that you posted a couple of years ago now, I think, was you had been involved in a fundraiser for MS. And I was like so impressed with what you're doing about that. And you can see that it left a brand impression on me about who you are outside of work world that has stuck with me for a long time. And so I feel like I know you because of that. So I think, post about things that you're working on. Mary, you just said that. Yeah, post about an aha moment you had with a customer, post about a customer question and what your answer to it was. Post about like a little victory you had. I love Shannon Mullen's post, was it yesterday, about this error message that came out that wasn't actually relevant to BC, but a whole bunch of people from BC received it. Those types of things are so helpful. So don't worry about feeling like you have to be the expert and posting, like some big TED Talk concept. Just post about little things so that people feel like they know you.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to share that. I was going to type it, but to your point, right? When you're kind of getting started out and maybe you don't want to go the AI route to think of the thought generation, or even that's too much, a really great community building way to start posting consistently. Repost somebody's content, right? Repost somebody's content, put a nice little comment about it. I really liked this because, right? Now that's a small way to kind of dip your toe into the water. I would say that there's a lot more, as you build, that's not going to be the most engaging way to go. But like if you're looking to get consistent, right? And just kind of putting some stuff out there. Plus, when somebody reshares your post or your thought, it makes you feel really good. It's a really great way to network, and that's what we're doing. That's kind of one of the side goals or main goal in that in LinkedIn too, is to build that networking. And it's like whenever Candace, or Savannah takes the time to make a comment on your post, like it does feel good, and it is good when people share. So that's why it's nice if you are not ready maybe to post actively, to Candace's point, maybe even comments is a great way to kind of get started too.
You can also take more of a in-person approach as well. Like just because you have an online presence and a personal brand online, that can extend to in your real life as well. Seek out like speaking opportunities or guest appearances on a podcast in the community. That's even if you've never met someone before, if you found a cool, like I saw there was a comment related to how to get started in like BC. Um, find find a mentor online, if you will, or someone you look up to, or someone you think is doing really cool things, and just send them a message. 9 times out of 10 in this community, anyone is willing to help you grow, whether that is co-speaking or co-collaborating on maybe a blog. There's tons of opportunity there within the community.
And if you're
Go ahead.
If you want to get started and you're not certain what to post, start with a commenting strategy. We had a member join our accelerator who she's a college professor. She was a business writing classes. So she's getting like 200, she had 200 students. She's grading like 200 essays a week. So you can only imagine just how insanely busy she was. Plus she's got a business on the side that she was trying to build up, which is why she joined the accelerator, so that she could quit her adjunct professor job. She did not have time to do prospecting. She didn't really have time to write posts, but she could comment. And so she committed to dropping 6 comments a day and got really consistent on that. and being strategic. So somebody asked about, like what to post if you're new. Go do a search in LinkedIn for people that are talking about BC or Power Platform, and then go comment on those posts. And if you could just make an intention to drop 3 to 6 comments a day, you're going to find that that will accomplish a couple of things for you. One, it's easier and more comfortable than posting. So it'll help you to build your brand. It'll help you attract an audience and an intentional audience by going and posting on the kinds of content, by doing a search rather than just random acts of content of commenting on your feed. But then Jenny, this person I was talking about, started getting inbound leads within a couple of months just from commenting. She wasn't posting. So, and I get that too. I get inbound leads all the time from my comments. So resharing is a kindness done to the other person, but for some reason, the LinkedIn algorithm hates that now. I don't understand why,
Yeah.
but reshares don't actually increase reach. Commenting helps increase reach, especially if you can drop a comment that sparks more conversation.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. One of the things that I was saying in here is I have to your point, right? So sharing used to help. Sharing hurts. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't help your engagement. To your point anymore. Commenting definitely helps. I saw that Candace had posted that recently, so I was like, cool, let me check that out, right? I know that she spends a lot of time in that LinkedIn algorithm, so I started commenting a little bit more. Sure enough, it was really, really great on that. And then Savannah made also a great point of like, put yourself out there, right? And Savannah does such a brilliant job at that. I really love how authentic she is in putting herself out there. And I gotta say, kind of from a personal experience, a few years ago, I remember I had missed, I didn't get picked for any of the spots for any of the conferences, right? Which is always just such like a personal gut blow, and it stinks, right? But the next year, I was like, well, what do I want to do? How could I maybe ensure this? I reached out to one of my friends that is at Microsoft that I knew would be presenting and always presents. And I said, hey, what do you think about us co-presenting? Do you want to put a session together? To my surprise, he said yes, right? I never would have guessed that. And here's the thing. What was the worst thing that was gonna happen? They're gonna say no. And you're still gonna be alive. Like it's gonna be okay. So I just kind of want to, share that, right? Like reach, and here's the thing too, like reach for the stars. Who knows what could happen, right? So just go for it. Put yourself out there and see what you can do.
Savannah, somebody asked about hashtags. I think that's a really important thing. And then tagging tagging people in the posts. Let's start with hashtags. They do not increase reach. So please stop the hashtag spam. You see these posts with 50 hashtags. It is not helping. It's just making you look desperate. So don't do the hashtag links. But I find that hashtags are really, really helpful for categorizing content. So Mary, you talked about having the content pillars. If you created a unique hashtag that no one else is using, so it's like the opposite mentality of what we used to think about hashtags, find something no one else is using, brand that for yourself as part of your brand, and then add that hashtag to everything in that content pillar. So we have, I post Monday markups of bad outreach or good outreach sometimes too, and talk about it, what worked, what didn't work. And I use the hashtag Monday markups, plural, with that. And I'm the only one using that. And so if you click that hashtag, and assuming the LinkedIn search is working, it's stopped for a while, but it seems to be back now, then you can see my whole series on that post. Phil, my partner, many of you know him, he's my husband, did one on Phil's profile tips. And so then it's like everybody who clicks that, no one else is using that hashtag. So find things that are unique that will help you categorize content and use that every time you write a content piece in that pillar. On tagging people, if I tag Mary Myers, I know that Mary is going to drop a comment on my post because we know each other. We're going to support each other. If Mary tags me, I will always go and comment on her post. But if Mary tagged me and I didn't comment, that actually reduces the reach of your post if you have people that you've tagged that don't come back and engage. So be intentional about who you tag, that they're going to actually come back and comment on it. Otherwise, it will hurt your post. And spam tagging is textual harassment. So don't do that. I did not make that up, but I loved it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. It's not you do that.
I hate it when people just tag me because they're hoping I'll come and comment and it's not really relevant. I have a couple of people that do that all the time to me, and that just annoys me. I may end up removing them as a connection at some point. Not that that will keep them from tagging me, but to me, that's not a good way to do tagging. You want to tag where people can actually engage and that they're going to benefit from participating in that conversation.
Mm-hmm. I think going back to, I guess we could call it a tool. Learning the different tools of building your personal brand, I think is really important. Knowing what's out there. You know, if you want to become a speaker, get on Sessionize.
Yes.
If you want to create marketing materials, Canva is really great. You know, these are all things that you can easily pick up. They're very user friendly. Trying to think of other tools that could be helpful that are free.
Loom is going to be a great video, right? If you want to be a video, you know, if that's more of your realm, you can get a Loom account, which is free. They've got a free version. They've got like a paid version. It's super awesome for some of the editing components too. So you can do the pictures. So again, things with video content that I would say that is really great from a personal branding perspective. Do the video where you have like your little head in there. Again, you want people to recognize who you are, right? From a facial perspective. So Loom's really great on that. And then it'll also, from an editing perspective, you can hit a little button that says take out all of the filler words and spaces, which is part of the problem with editing, right? That's all the things that we want to do. And if you're doing video, right, my biggest advice to you is I would cut out the spaces and the fillers, right? Which is easy, but just cut out the fluff so that the words that you're saying are concise and consistent. That is more important, in my opinion, in the research and stuff that I've done from that perspective, than making sure you've got editing and pop-ups and in the video graphics, right? Like that is not, and again, if you look at my, like, it depends on the platform, but again, that's just kind of my thing. If you don't have a lot of time, you're trying to consolidate, I would do that from a video perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we have about 5 minutes left. If there's any remaining questions,
can we address public speaking, Savannah? Because I think we didn't do enough on that, and we really need to lean into that and talk about what's involved in actually getting a speaking slot. Because I think as an organizer of conferences, the proposals that people submit usually suck. And that's the reason that you don't get selected, is because your proposal isn't compelling to a target audience.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And also, kind of leaning into that too. If you do get selected to speak, don't be afraid don't be too critical on yourself. When I first started speaking, I would get so nervous. I think this is, fairly common, but, I would be literally like shaking in my boots. And then even if I knew the content, it wouldn't come out correctly. And I think that's just a natural part, but, take time to practice, as well as just don't be afraid to mess up, because you probably will at one point.
Yeah, as far as that's great advice. To your point, I would have to call one of my friends to calm me down. I would get so upset. I would be in the bathroom in tears. There's probably people on this call that have seen me right before a session in absolute tears because I will get that much anxiety. Fun fact, that's why I play Taylor Swift before my sessions. It actually like calms me down. I just like listen to music whenever people come in. But to Candace's point, right? Like that submission part and how do we get to that part? Sam, I appreciate that. Is so there'll be a call for a speaker, right? Usually 3 to 6, 8 months, somewhere in that time frame. There will be a call for speaker that you'll see maybe posted on LinkedIn or something like that. But also, if there's a specific event that you want to speak at, go on the website, start looking, kind of plan ahead. These are like, honestly, I'm thinking about my speaking positions, what I'm wanting to do in January. So by the end of January this year, I had basically slotted my entire speaking agenda, right, or goals for the entire year. I had all my travel booked for the first 6 months. It didn't mean, and I'll be honest, doesn't mean that I got sessions for all of them. I just know I'm going regardless or not, right? So that's one part of it. But anyways, what I'm saying is you can take an active approach to go figure out when that call for speaker is going to be open. And then usually the call to speakers are going to be ran from a platform called Sessionize. Now, you don't have to have your entire presentation ready to put in a call for speaker. I think that's a misconception a lot of times. You need to have a title and a description and the objectives of what it is that you're going to talk about. Now, what Candace is saying is that's the part that usually sucks. I think from content community perspectives, there's a lot of AI that is going on in that now, right? And as speakers, there's a lot of conversation on whether or not it's fair that AI wrote your entire submission or did somebody check that or these types of things. But there's this concept of like creating a catchy title. I don't know what's good or bad yet, y'all. I don't know. Sometimes I like to go with like really creative, and I think it also depends on the conferences, right? So DynamicsCon's fun. So I usually do more of like a fun title. But if I do a really fun title for a more I don't know, technically focused conference, they don't get it. They don't think I'm funny at all, and so it's like, gosh, we need something more technically sound, or sometimes I just try to make them more plain because, intro to power tips and tricks for Power Automate 101. That worked really great for a few years. Now I don't get picked. But let me shut up. We're out of time.
I feel like we could keep going on and on and on. But this was a really great session. This is being recorded and it will be posted to the Dynamics user group YouTube if you guys would like to rewatch it. Who knows, maybe we'll even do a secondary session in the future. But thank you, Mary and Candace, for coming in and talking with me, and for everyone attending.
Thanks for having us. This was fun, Savannah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
All right.